Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tony Ortiz. Welcome to the big board for the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship 2019. Everything really got underway last night as Belmont beat Temple 81-70. And of course, Fairleigh Dickinson beats Prairie View 82-76. So we are here at this point because there's two more games today, but those are the first four games. Those are technically play-in games, even though the NCAA doesn't call it play-in games. But we are going to take a look at the bracket, and I have decided to sit down, break the bracket down, simply so you all can make fun of me when my picks go completely awry and off the board, and I basically look like Charles Barkley at the end of two games on TNT. So without further ado, we will do that. First things first, somebody brought in a delicious tray of cookies, so before we actually went on the air, I had a cookie, so if I start smacking, that's the reason why. Chocolate chip was the one I had, although as my good friend Marissa said, why didn't they bring in oatmeal raisin, which is right up there as my favorite cookie of all time. So if you ever see me and you have an oatmeal raisin cookie, just know that I'm going to be your best friend for life. So there we go. So we all set to go? Here we go. Let's start here. Listen, last year, UMBC beat Virginia. That was the first time a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. Not going to happen again this year. Duke beats whoever comes out the North Dakota State, North Carolina Central game this evening. VCU UCF, pretty good game. It's going to be a tight game. I like Virginia Commonwealth, however. Mississippi State Liberty, no way Liberty's going to win that game. Sorry, Mississippi State's a pretty good team. Virginia Tech should beat St. Louis. Now here's where things get very interesting. Belmont beat Temple yesterday. I was completely impressed by the way Belmont played. I've got them upsetting Maryland in the first round. So that's my first big upset, the 11-6 upset. I got Belmont knocking out Maryland. LSU, they may not be smarter than Yale, but they play better than Yale. I got the Tigers beating the Bulldogs. Louisville, Minnesota, give me Louisville. By the way, that's the Rick Pitino Memorial game, Louisville against Minnesota. Just think about that one for a moment. Michigan State and Bradley, I'm not going against the Spartans. They're playing too well right now, and Bradley may be a better team than people believe, but I just like Michigan State. Now, we get to the Sweet 16. Duke, no problem. They're going to beat Virginia Commonwealth. I've got Mississippi State upsetting Virginia Tech. Again, I think the Bulldogs are playing really good basketball right now, and the SEC was a better conference basketball-wise than a lot of people realize. So that's how I like that there. Belmont's run comes to an end. I like the Tigers. Michigan State, I've got them advancing past Louisville. The Elite Eight, Duke gets past Mississippi State. Michigan State gets past LSU. Oh, we've got Duke and Michigan State. And unfortunately, people, if you've gone to Michigan State, you know this. Tom Izzo's personal kryptonite is Mike Krzyzewski, which, by the way, is spelled Krzywzewski. Krzyzewski. True story. I can actually do that. All right, let's advance to the next regional, which is Gonzaga. No problem there. 1-16, not going to happen. Syracuse and Baylor, I will take Jim Boeheim and the Orange. This is their time of the year. Last year, remember, they pulled off the upset of Michigan State at Little Caesars Arena. This time around, they're going to knock out Baylor. I got Marquette racing past Murray State. Sorry, bad pun. Florida State beats Vermont, no problem. Buffalo, they're going to take care of whoever wins the Arizona State-St. John's game tonight. Texas Tech, playing really good basketball right now. I've got them beating Northern Kentucky. Sorry, Horizon League fans. Northern Kentucky's a good team, just not good enough to knock off Texas Tech. I've got Nevada beating Florida. Michigan and Montana. Telling you now, Montana's a better team than people realize, but I've got Michigan beating Montana. Sweet 16, Gonzaga over Syracuse. Sorry, Orange. Florida State over Marquette. Here's the big one. Buffalo beats Texas Tech. Now, you might be asking, why did you pick Buffalo? Is it because that's your hometown? Sort of. But here's the real reason why I pick them. Buffalo's a better team than people give them credit for. They have a really good offense. I am an insomniac. So sometimes I am watching CBS Sports Network and watching MAC games. I've watched Buffalo. Good offense, tall, physical team that can play defense. And I think that's enough to shut down Texas Tech, which is also a very good offensive team. But I think Buffalo plays a little better defense. I think they knock off Texas Tech. This one I really went back and forth on, Nevada and Michigan. Nevada, again, CBS Sports Network, no sleep, watching games. I think Nevada is a better team than people are giving them credit for, but Michigan wins. my opinion. Now we get to where it gets really interesting. Gonzaga beats Florida State. Does Michigan come out on top against Buffalo? Yeah, they do. Okay, suspense over. That's the Elite Eight. Next bracket. Oh, God, I get to go on the other side. Yay. Virginia, Gardner-Webb. No way Virginia loses another 116 game. Sorry, guys, not going to happen. Mississippi gets upset by Oklahoma. I think the Sooners are a little bit better than people give them credit for. There's a lot of people who believe Wisconsin is going to lose to Oregon. I am not one of those people. I think Wisconsin beats Oregon. Now, Oregon is the hottest team going into the tournament. They've won 8 in a row. They won the Pac-12 tournament. They looked really good doing it. Good offense, better defense. I just think the run ends here because Wisconsin's a little bit of a better team, but it didn't show in Big Ten play because the Big Ten beats up each other so much. This time, though, I think Wisconsin's defensive talent is just enough to shut down Oregon. Kansas State, no problem with UC Irvine. Villanova, defending champions, you got to go with them. Purdue beats Old Dominion. Cincinnati and Iowa, love the Bearcats, really do. Love Mick Cronin, think he's a very good coach. Love the fact that they're big and they're physical and they're tough. I got Iowa. I just think Iowa's a little bit better than people give them credit for. And look, if the game is close, Iowa, especially the last month of the season, was able to pull off some really tight games in the Big Ten. You can win close games on the road in the Big Ten like Iowa did, you stand a really good chance of advancing far in the NCAA tournament. Tennessee brushes off Colgate. Now we go to the Sweet 16. Oklahoma upsets Virginia. Sorry, one round and done for Virginia. They get past the 116. They run out of gas. I like Oklahoma. Wisconsin beats Kansas State. No problem with that. Big Ten topples the Big 12. Purdue upsets Villanova. Sort of an upset. This is not a vintage Jay Wright Villanova team. It's good, but I think Purdue is a better team. Tennessee knocks off Iowa. Tennessee is the best team in the SEC this year, by far. Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Sooners, upset. I know what I said about the Big 12 earlier and the Big 10. This time, though, Oklahoma's got the offense to knock off Wisconsin. And I've got Tennessee beating Purdue. Again, no surprise there. Tennessee is one of the better teams in the SEC, one of the better teams in this tournament. So now we've got that as part of the Elite Eight, Oklahoma, Tennessee, in my opinion. Final bracket, North Carolina, Iona. North Carolina owns Iona. Utah State and Washington, I'll take Utah State in an upset. Washington's good, Utah State's better. Again, remember, Insomniac, CBS Sports Network, Mountain West games, late at night, whole family's in bed, quiet house, me and the dog. Saw a lot of Utah State. I really like the Aggies. Auburn beats New Mexico State. Kansas, not directionally challenged. They beat Northeastern. Iowa State knocks off Ohio State. I know, Big 12, Big 10, this time a little bit different. Here's why. Iowa State's a really mature, really veteran team. Ohio State's still learning how to win. Next year, Chris Holtman's team is going to be really, really good. This year, they're good enough to make an 11 seed to get in the tournament. Next year, they're going to be a higher seed, and they're going to play a lot better in the tournament. This year, however, I've got Iowa State winning. Houston, probably the story in college basketball this year. Kelvin Sampson's team, 32-3. They should beat Georgia State. Seton Hall pulls off the upset of Wofford. Look, I love underdog stories like Belmont and Wofford. This is not the time, however, for Wofford to pull that off. My opinion, Seton Hall, coming out of the Big East, is the better team here in this situation. Kentucky, no problem with Abilene Christian. Sweet 16, yeah, North Carolina beats Utah State. That one's not an issue. How about this? Kansas. Kansas beats Auburn. So you've got a Sweet 16 matchup between North Carolina and Kansas. Roy Williams against Bill Self. That'll be fun. Iowa State upsets Houston. Again, Houston's good. Iowa State's a little bit better. Kentucky beats Seton Hall. No surprise there. Big showdown, North Carolina, Kansas. Ring up the Tar Heels. I think they win. Iowa State, Kentucky. Give me the Wildcats. So we got North Carolina, Kentucky, which probably would be the best game of the Elite Eight. North Carolina, Kentucky, two NCAA teams that have a history behind them meeting. It's Calipari versus Williams. Can't beat that matchup. All right, so here we have the Elite Eight. Duke and Michigan State, Gonzaga and Michigan, Oklahoma, Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky. who wins. Let me give you some numbers before the first pick. 1-11. That is Tom Izzo's record against Mike Krzyzewski all time. 1-11. If Tom Izzo is Superman, Mike Krzyzewski's his kryptonite. Sorry, Duke. By the way, I had to throw in a superhero reference. You know, couldn't get away with that one. Gonzaga in Michigan. Sorry, guys. Road ends here. Bulldogs. In the Final Four. Yes, George.
Question
Good
from
morning.
The audience.
Yes.
Did Michigan State get jobbed of being put in this?
Oh, God, yes. Absolutely. That is one of the worst jobs the committee did this year, was putting Michigan State as the number 2 seed in the East for 2 reasons. One, Michigan State deserved a number 1 seed. To me, at the end of the season, they were a better team than Gonzaga. Gonzaga should have been a number 2 seed. Or either Virginia or North Carolina could have been a number 2 seed, and I would have had no problem with that. The problem is, if Duke is your number 1 overall seed, and you do it serpentine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that means Michigan State was the weakest of the 4 number 2 seeds. That is not possible. That is not real. Michigan State was a strong team that won the Big Ten's regular season title and won the Big Ten tournament title. That is not a number 2 seed. That's not. And that's not the weakest of the number 2 seeds. So yes, absolutely, Michigan State got jobbed. Tom Izzo has every right to complain about it from here till next year, and I'll back him 100% on that one. They got jobbed. My opinion. By the way, any more questions? Please fire them off on Facebook Live. George is here. That is why he's here, to read off those questions from you, because I can't see the questions. George can relay them, and he does a better job of relaying them than I would, trying to read them looking down and up and down and up. And plus, it keeps the cookies out of my line of sight so I don't go over there and grab them. Yes, George.
Rob Vlasek is asking
Hi,
if
Rob.
there are any Cinderella teams.
Cinderella.
Obviously, at this point,
It's looking bad, but there's a couple. I think Buffalo could possibly be a Cinderella team. I think Oklahoma's a Cinderella team. I really think they have the offense to win some games in the tournament this year. You know what? A lot of people look at this and think there's going to be a ton of upsets. I think there's going to be a lot of chalk in this year's tournament. My opinion. I just see the good teams stepping forward and taking control. Look at the top of the ratings or the rankings this year. A lot of times it was the teams you expected. It was Duke, it was Michigan, it was Michigan State, it was Gonzaga, it was Tennessee, it was Kentucky, it was North Carolina. It was the Blue Bloods. The teams you expect to be at the top of the rankings were at the top of the rankings this year. I don't think that's going to change in the NCAA tournament. I think the better teams, the top teams, the big name teams are going to be around when you get to the Elite Eight, to the Final Four. Yes, George.
Josh Khalil.
Hi, Josh.
I don't know if I missed it. Any Nevada thoughts? They haven't played anybody, but that record looks good.
The record looks really good. Nevada, and again, late nights, CBS Sports Network, Mountain West Conference, they have good offense. They can put up points on people, and they're a little bit of a taller team than you would expect. They play defense. It's not great defense, but it's good enough to win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. I really like Nevada's balance also. That's a really balanced team between offense and defense. I like Nevada. And you know what? The Mountain West is a sneaky good conference. I'm not sure you'd call it a major. I'd probably make the Mountain West at this stage of college basketball a mid-major, but that's a sneaky good conference. There's a couple of teams. Utah State, for example, from the Mountain West, is in the bracket this year. It's a sneaky good conference. UNLV, I just blanked out on some names. UNLV is in there. Colorado State is in there. Air Force is in there. It's a sneaky good conference, and similar to the Big Ten, it's hard to win games in the Mountain West, likely because of the travel, but also there's a lot of good mid-major teams in that conference. So, yes, I like Nevada. I really do like Nevada. All right, time for the rest of the reveal. Let me slide to the other side. Ooh. Oklahoma, Tennessee. I feel like Vanna White when I do this. Oklahoma, Tennessee. Tennessee. Oklahoma's run comes to an end. North Carolina, Kentucky, the Blue Bloods. North Carolina. So there's your Final Four. Duke, Gonzaga, Tennessee, and North Carolina. What do you notice about that? 3 number 1s and a number 2. Again, like I said earlier, the big name schools, the schools you expect at the top of the heap, were at the top of the rankings and the top of the heap this year. I don't think that's going to change for the tournament. I think these are the teams. I think the top seeds are going to remain the top seeds, and for the most part are going to make it into the Sweet 16, into the Elite 8, and into the Final Four. So, Duke and Gonzaga. I'd be crazy to pick Gonzaga, right? Correct. I'd be crazy to pick Gonzaga. Duke wins that game. Tennessee, North Carolina. North Carolina. And now we have an interesting puzzle. This is a game, when you look at all the teams, this is the matchup that would get probably the most viewers for CBS, because North Carolina and Tennessee are, again, and I use this term a lot, blue bloods. A couple of teams that everybody would love to see. Here's the question. Third matchup, and as we know from Michigan and Michigan State, that third matchup is never easy. Can North Carolina topple Duke with the player of the year in Zion Williamson? Could they win a championship? Well, I'll say Big Ten. Could they win a championship from Duke, a team that everybody has crowned as their champion in the NCAA tournament? I'm going to build suspense. I'm not touching that screen until I hear from George. Hi, George.
Ken Turner.
Yes.
Do you think Michigan should be in the Duke bracket and MSU should be in the Gonzaga bracket? Just swap those.
I could see that. I could see that. Michigan being the weaker of the 4 number 2 seeds, I could see that. Yeah. If they had done that, if Michigan had been in the Duke bracket and Michigan State had been in the Gonzaga bracket, I would have had no problem with that. I would have had no problem. Then I might have flip-flopped Michigan State and Gonzaga. I'd have made Michigan State the number 1 seed and Gonzaga a number 2 seed. So, yeah, I could see that happening. And again, if you're Michigan, you wouldn't complain about that. You lost 3 times to your rival, and you didn't win either the regular season title or the Big Ten tournament. So being a number 2 seed in the same bracket with Duke, how could you complain? You couldn't. Michigan State, on the other hand, has plenty of complaints because they got job. They really got job by being a number 2 seed. So is it time for the final reveal, George? Really? Duke and North Carolina. Everybody in the free world will probably pick Duke. I'm not one of them. I got North Carolina winning. North Carolina wins 77-75 over Duke. Here's why. It's tough to beat a team 3 times in the same season. But if there's one team that can handle Zion Williamson, it's North Carolina, because they faced him twice. They've had a chance to see him up close. They've played him at least once. I know he was out for one of those games, but they've had a chance to play him. So they know his strengths, they know his weaknesses, they know what he likes to do, and I think Roy Williams is a good enough head coach, obviously, to figure out ways to slow down Zion Williamson and to slow down the rest of that team. Plus, come on now, North Carolina has a guy who's a pretty good freshman himself in Kobe White. I think he can do something and do that. North Carolina over Duke, 77-75. Hi, Doug Karsh. How are you?
Is this live?
Yes, this is. Are you going to make fun of my bracket? I got North Carolina winning the whole thing, beating Duke.
All right, so Duke, yeah. Whoa.
That's okay. Go ahead.
This is a real touchscreen.
Yes, it is.
Now we're back at the beginning.
Now we're back at the very beginning.
Did I just erase this?
Oh, no, you're fine. You're good. It's good. We were going to do that anyway.
Go all the way through the whole thing.
You're populating it.
He's populating it.
See, that's my sleeper team.
Nevada?
Nevada. Watch
Yeah.
out for the Wolfpack.
See, I thought about that. I thought about taking him over Michigan. It's just, I like tournament experience, and John Beeline's got some tournament experience.
They got 5 seniors, all starters.
There you go.
6'7" and taller.
See, Doug is like me. Doug is at night, insomniac, watching CBS Sports Network, Mountain West Conference, watching basketball in a quiet house.
I got to get back in here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug. It's always nice to have Doug Carr stop by. So as we repopulate the whole thing, yeah, I've got North Carolina winning this. And again, if there's any team that can stop Zion Williamson, it is going to be North Carolina. And so 77-75, the final score for me, North Carolina wins. Now, this is the bracket that I'm actually going to submit to Mike Stone as part of his bracket challenge. I am going to pay my money, and if I win this thing, I am going to be walking around on cloud 9. My head will not fit through any door in this building because I will be so happy to have beaten everybody in the bracket challenge. Will I win? Who knows? But that's what the fun is about the NCAA tournament. Again, you got any questions? George, what you got?
I think we're all set.
George says we're all set. So you know what? That's my bracket. Now, here's the other part of that. If I'm wrong completely and Duke blows out North Carolina and none of these teams make it to the Elite Eight, please, by all means, have at it. Tell me how wrong I was. Tell me that I messed up because I was getting out of the prediction business. But, to use the line from Godfather Part 3, I thought I was out, and then they pulled me back in. And that's exactly what they did. So here you go. Again, my Twitter handle, AJ Ortiz 3, Facebook Live right here. When I'm wrong, let me know. I'll laugh about it, have some fun with it, chuckle about it. Facebook Live as well. You can go back to this video. You see my picks are in stone, and forever immortalized on the internet. God help me. George, what you got? Nothing? That's it. Guys, everybody go back and take care of your lunch. By the way, you didn't believe me earlier about this. I'm going to show you this. I'm disappearing for a second. See? A whole box of cookies. Now, I ate one. That's all I'm going to eat. But just so you know, this was right in eye shot. So just so you know, this is some of the distractions that I had to deal with was a box of cookies. This is incredible.
And no milk.
And no milk. See, you cannot have cookies without milk. You need milk to go along with the cookies. So there you go. Everybody have a good lunch. Enjoy the NCAA tournament. You'll be able to find the games on CBS, on TBS, on True TV, on TNT. You'll be able to hear the games on CBS Sports Radio 1270. We'll keep you updated on the games here on WWJ. I'll be in the mornings to go ahead and talk about the games. You can talk about them as well on 97.1 The Ticket. We'll be all over the place talking about the NCAA tournament and the games. And, of course, the NFL draft's right around the corner, so there's a pretty good chance I'll be back with one of these as well. So, everybody, have a good lunch. We will talk soon. And, again, best time of the year, college basketball, revs into high gear. Take care, everybody. Cookies.